And welcome to Add More Zest, and my name's Rebecca. Happy 21st of June, everybody. I am actually squeezing this one in on the 21st of June. It's one of those weeks. But anyway, we are on to a very, very nice, pretty one today. I think we've got a few ABs in this one while we get the nice little plant done. I hope everybody is well and having a great day, week, month, all the rest of it. I'm going to start off with my ABs and try not to miss any, but we shall see how it goes. But yeah, having a good week so far. I found the bottom of a couple of washing baskets, just for anybody you know that's eagerly sat waiting on the edge of their seat to find out. I've been getting quite a few loads done each day. But yeah, we did have a bit of a backlog with the water situation, and then sort of couldn't quite get on top of it with the weather situation. But we are actually having a summer week this week. So I've even had maidens out on the patio at the beginning of the week, determined to try and get through as much as possible. And yeah, I seem to have, I'm not on top of it all yet, but I definitely seem to have broken the back of it. I've got rid of the backlog. I am now currently working on what's been generated this week while working through the backlog. And then I've got a few things, like the beddings will all be due to be changed again this weekend. So it might take me a bit longer, but I have found the bottom of some baskets, so that's all good. Though the kids, I don't know whether they are loving putting all the washing away. That's a whole different ball game. But yeah, they all put their own washing away. With the girls, there's two girls in one room, and then Catherine's in another room. And yeah, I've even got to the point now that I don't sort out which goes in which room, because I just get it wrong so often. Like, there's a lot of stuff that I could say, yeah, straight away, that is a certain person's. But there is so much stuff that they maybe have the same of, but it's a different size. And, you know, you never know which one's potentially in the wash, and you'd have to check through the sizes. Nah, I've stopped doing that now. So I basically put a pile for the girls, and they just sort it out between themselves, and take what's theirs. And then I don't have to try and figure out, you know, I can figure out mostly with t-shirts and clothes that they only have a one of. When it comes to underwear, half the time I am completely lost as to whose is whose. So I just pile it all together, and they sort it all out. But yeah, that is probably the highlight of my week. Getting on top of the washing, or getting closer to being fully done on the washing. So I hope you're having more excitement than necessarily I am. I'm going to be using one of our stock pens, the pink pen, today, and of course my multi-placer, which I think I'm going to start with. I think I might need a bit more of 912, so let's get some more of those. So on to comments, etc. So Janet, she says, thanks for another great waffle. She said she loves hearing Luna's voice in the background. She says you have a super guard dog. That is definitely one way to look at it. Super guard dog is definitely what she is. She lets us know when there is anything going on in what feels like the complete neighbourhood. And yeah, now reacts to van doors being opened. So, you know, we are going up on the monitoring streak. She says their elderly beagle doesn't bark at all, except for a yip or two when they're sleeping. Oh, bless. She says your diamond painting is absolutely beautiful. Thanks for all you do for us. Oh, you're so welcome. And yeah, this diamond painting is turning out fantastic. It's turning out my only one for June so far, but you know what? That's all good. I just need to find some other sort of content to potentially do throughout the month of July while I work through my ongoing WIP, which is nowhere near any sort of completion at the moment. Julia, she says she's been watching for a while. She says she first found my channel when I was finishing up Little Dreamer's tree. She says, and she's just finished her big painting, her first big painting, because she mostly does 30 by 40s. Yeah, 30 by 40s. I know at the beginning of the year I actually ended up with my decision wheel picking quite a few 30 by 40s. And, you know, at one point it's like, oh, I want to do a big one. But then now I've got a big one up and running at the moment, and I've not had the time, and time has been a much bigger constraint. I'm like, oh, could have done with it being a 30 by 40. There might have been a chance of me finishing it. But hey ho, it's all good. Kathy, she says, greetings from sunny Atlanta. She says, count me, she says, among those who are learning to multi-place. Takes a bit of getting used to, doesn't it? She says she's usually a perfectionist and she likes for everything to line up straight. I hear you. She says, however, she said she's learned from among the diamond painting community that it is okay to relax about it, and it doesn't really matter in the final result if things aren't absolutely perfect. Yeah, that's one thing that I'm trying to, in effect, let go of a bit. Yes, I want the symbols covered. Yes, I want them as lined up as possible. But when I have, say, a little bit more of a gap between one diamond than another on the section I'm working on, I remind myself to look over the other sections that I've done and realise that, you know, it takes me a while to find those unaligned diamonds, because when you're not quite as close up and quite, you know, on that section fully, it is nowhere near as in your face as you think it is when you're working on that section. So you do really have to give yourself a little bit of grace and try and let the perfectionism disappear ever so slightly, because when, you know, you are spending time doing something that when you're finished you're just not going to see in any way in the same way. Right, let me get that one back, and I want V. She says now she is enjoying the process. She says she's mostly using a 4-placer. She uses Quake Hold, museum putty in her multi-placers. She's tried various diamond painting putty, she says, that smells wonderful, but she's not been able to keep it from sticking to the canvas. She said, thanks for the long video, and she will see me tomorrow. Thank you. I will say museum putty isn't something that I've actually tried. I do enjoy the smell of the putties. So I have found, you know, since I've got a bit better putting it in the multi-placer, that it doesn't tend to stick to the canvas anywhere near sort of as much as it did. Though I do need to pull this glue dot out and put it back in again. Again, don't do as I do, because technically you shouldn't stick tweezers in a metal placer, but I do anyway. Oh, that glue dot looks like it has been in there for an absolute eternity. Okay, maybe it's time for a new one. Let's ditch that. Oh, don't tell me I haven't got new ones in here. Don't tell me the kids have pinched them. Oh no, I moved them. They're in a different drawer. It's okay. I have some IKEA pegboards to the right and to the left of me. And I often put things, or that's where I used to have all my glue dots, as like just a grab and go. But since I've been working on the drafting table, I've moved them to in that drawer. And every time I go to get some on video, I'm like, I haven't got them in here, because the kids borrowed some for a bit. Maybe I need to find a way of sort of splitting them up and just keep a few in my drawer and then put the rest on the pegboard as sort of the stock amount, but it's still where I gravitate to go for them when I'm filming. So that might not be a bad idea. I don't have to change them that often. More often than not, taking them out and putting the macket back in again is enough. But for this pen, obviously I've had a few bouts of taking it out and putting it back in for this pen. So it definitely was due for replacement. It was manky as anything. Little Sue Craft, she says, hi Rebecca. She says she loves watching my videos while she is working on a diamond painting. She watched day 3 and 4 and finished section 3 on her Diamond Art Club Easter Dragon. She said she enjoys it more when she is watching somebody else diamond paint. She says she loves the tray idea. She says, but that's the trays on the tray storage, all ready to rock and roll. She says, but she can't use it because she has a kitten that loves sitting on her diamond painting and pushing bottles off the table. And I'm sure if you tell a cat no to pushing something off the table, that means it's fair game and you need to do it more. I'm sure that's the way cats think about it. She also says thanks for the great videos. Oh, you are more than welcome. It is fun doing them all, but I completely get with a kitten, not good. I needed to move my trays today to film the fan sales video, which will go up, I think, a little bit after this. I think is the way I'll do it. And I've just put that on the wrong one. Are all of those the wrong one? Yes. Let's try. There we go. Don't tell me I did it with these. No, I didn't. Okay. I can breathe again. Yeah, I had to move my trays to film the fan sales video because I wasn't risking knocking them. So I moved them onto the bookcase where they normally live. But I was ever so cautious and slow moving them because I just did not want to end up hitting them, knocking any trays off, because that could be an absolute disaster. And not one that I want to happen. Monique, she says, good morning, my zesty people. She says, lovely day here. She said it is 30 degrees Celsius. She is doing her project outside. Your 30 degrees must be different to our 30 degrees. Because we actually had, did we have 23 degrees the other day, yesterday? Oh my goodness me, it was far too hot for my liking. In fact, today I've got sort of, well, I use them as pyjamas. They probably are actually pyjamas. But it's like a little sort of vesty type crop top. And then a shorts. They're sort of sold as a pyjama set, but I know my daughter wears the top parts that are like crop tops. She wears them as tops. They're sort of one of those in-between things that you can sort of get away with both. And when I got up this morning, I was like, nah, I am staying in them. I am staying in PJs. I made sure I put underwear on so I felt dressed. But I am like, it is far too hot. I do have a dress. The other option is I could potentially wear a dress. But I thought I'm not going out the house today. So I am going for the PJ look. And I will save my dress for tomorrow when I actually need to go out the house. Because we have I wouldn't say it's a heat wave, but we definitely have a few days of summer here. Cat Lady says, hi Rebecca. She says she is on her final square of her 40 by 40 painting today. She's been working on it today in between wash loads. See, look, all the Brits in the world are catching up on their washing while we have nice weather. Getting it out on the line because that's just what we prefer. She says, and trips out for errands. She hasn't decided yet whether she wants to start on another one, as her life is very upside down at the moment. I feel like that's happening for a few of us for June, that things are all just a little bit disorientated. Not necessarily bad, just not status quo. She says, just for your information, she says she's not sure if everyone will have noticed, but YouTube didn't register that she watched yesterday's Waffle or a few others that came on last night. She says, but if you notice a drop in viewings, that is YouTube that's at fault. I'm sure they change things every now and then just to mess up any statistics and stuff that we might have. But don't you worry, these things happen. I do YouTube more for the company and stuff than for the views. As long as it is interesting some people, then I will keep posting a variety of different stuff. If YouTube tells me that that nobody has watched it, then one, I wouldn't believe them. But two, it would have to be on multiple occasions before I decided to ditch a style of video. And I'd probably tell you guys anyway first to say, oi, are you not interested in this? Because if you're not, then fair enough. I'll ditch it. But otherwise, it's just sort of a document of my diamond painting journey, and stuff that I do, stuff that I've found out, and little tips and tricks or chitty chatty about, you know, washing along the way. Cheryl, she says, good morning Rebecca and Zesties. She says, different / non-diamond painting topic / long post alert. She said her latest non-diamond painting obsession is Australian football, AFL. She said it is like a combination of soccer, wrestling volleyball, hot potato, keep away, basketball, and of course football. She said it is so fast paced, she says, that she can't even diamond paint and watch at the same time, she says, or she will miss something. She says, oh, and her ultimate favourite is when a goal that's 6 points is scored. She says the goal official does a quick, what she describes as a double gun draw, but from the top. She said some officials are more animated than others, but she loves it all the same. She says she is an avid American football watcher, but they have nothing, she says, on the AFL. She doesn't think the NFL, which is the American football, she says players would last 5 minutes with all the running involved in AFL. She says, does your family in Australia watch? I know my brother and my brother-in-law do. They quite often will go to games at Melbourne. I know that for sure. So yes, they do. Sports are extremely big in Australia. It is a thing. All sorts of sports. So in Melbourne, for Melbourne Cup Day, which is horse racing, I think, they have a holiday, like a national holiday, a bank holiday. Yeah, they have a holiday for that day. Melbourne Cup Day, and there's other things, like they will just book a holiday or close a business because some big key match for some sort of sport is on. They are sport crazy. Then there's a couple of comments below, people asking about where they can watch it. So that is on the 6th of June, if anybody is interested in having a look at the sort of additional comments on that, just sort of where they can watch it and stuff like that, then have a look. But yeah, I know my brother and my brother-in-law definitely go and watch games. My brother is more of a rugby fan at home. Now, is it rugby union or rugby league? I can't remember. But it is the Wire. Warrington the Wire is what he follows in the UK. I think it's union, but I don't know. It could be league. There's a difference between rugby union and rugby league. Don't ask me what it is, but anybody who follows the rugby will probably be offended that I don't know. But you know, you win some, you lose some. I don't follow it enough. Liv's Dottingden, she says, thank you for your AB pen tip advice. She says she does have a couple of our pens in her stash. She forgets what she has sometimes. That is easy enough to do. Sometimes it is nice to have like a mini sort out, organise, reevaluate type thing going on with your stash, just because it helps to remind you of things that you've got as much as anything else. It's always fun to do. Oh, Jen says, no, Mr. Blobby was on Noel's house party on a Saturday night. So I must have got it wrong. I can't actually remember because this was from the 7th. But Mr. Blobby was on Noel's house party. Yes, it definitely was a Saturday night show that I remember watching Mr. Blobby. Liv says she remembers Mr. Blobby when she was a kid. He even turned up at the children's centre that she went to for a family day. She also says that she loves the smell of Play-Doh. Yeah, until it gets in a carpet. Grey Legrand, she says, hi Rebecca. She says she is behind on videos. She's watching day 6 on day 7. She says she's thinking that by the time I get to this comment, she will have finished, that she would have finished her Gary the Snail from SpongeBob. She said it has a lot of colour blocking, so it goes really fast. You probably are definitely finished by now. She says not to worry. She says she still has plenty of budget whips to work on as well. She's also tearing into a new Lego set tonight. Exciting times. Let me just change over my diamonds. I have to move my laptop lid because of the position. I've had to have everything into the camera. It's the yellow delivery truck, she says, that has just released. It was on discount, she said, at one of her local warehouse stores. Oh, Costco. We have Costco too. They never seem to have as good deals as they do in America, but we do have Costco. She says she doesn't have a membership to shop there, so a friend picked it up for her. Awesome friend. We do actually have Costco, or at least the girls do. I like the bin bags from there. They come on a huge roll, but they don't tend to rip and stuff like they sometimes can do if you've not emptied your bin as often as you maybe should have done, which can happen in this house. It just keeps getting pushed down until it's like, oh shoot, now I'm going to have to try and get this out. She says it's nice to have enablers. She says even if they don't play Lego or diamond painting. Yes, friends that support your hobby even if they don't do it themselves are the best. Liz, she says she's loving this year's June waffle. She said, and yes, she got her section finished before me. Woohoo! She says, but getting to be a habit, she says, which she's sure will not last, as there's more colours to come on her picture, which is Daylight by Puff Gator from Diamond Art Club. Liv says she's not on a no-buy, but she hasn't bought any more canvases for a while. Go me, she says. Awesome. Aliyah is watching the 6th on the 7th. And Kenzie, she says she's hitting pause to comment. She says that hearing the word yeeted come out of your mouth with a posh accent, she said, has me laughing more than it should. See, I don't see my accent as posh. It's definitely not London posh, that's for sure. And this is, you know, London posh rather than London that uses the slang. There is difference in London. There is posh and there is non-posh. She says, don't get me wrong. She says she absolutely adores my accent, as it's so different from the southern US accent. She says she has 3 grandsons and 1 granddaughter, who have all used the word multiple times. She says, but there is just something about your refined accent saying yeeted that gave her brain a record scratch moment and has her in absolute and a much needed giggle fest. Well, I am glad that I could help in some way. Make your day a little bit brighter. But yeah, the yeeted is a highly underrated word. I think it should be used more often than it should, along with Egypt. Calling somebody in Egypt, which is an Irish word, but I absolutely love it. Oh. Daylene, she says, hi Rebecca and Zesties. She says, as she's in South Africa, she says some companies don't send to them. She says, Rebecca, do you remember my order that travelled for a year to get back to me? Yes, I do. An order turned back up and I thought it was like an order that had been like 2-3 months, I think, before it had got back to me. And it was like, that took a long time. And then upon closer inspection, it wasn't one that had taken 3 months to get back to me. It's one that had taken a year and 3 months to get back to me, which is absolutely redonkulous. Yeah, the South African Post is not a strength in any way, shape or form. It is a huge downfall. She says, in saying that, she says she enjoys Heaven and Earth Designs so much that she goes to their site to see if one she likes is on there. She says most Randall Spanglers, Josephine Wall, Richard Lorenz are on there. She says she purchases the chart and saves it. She says in between she does buy the odd one here and there. She says, like you, she says she is on a mindful no-buy. Doing it like this, she says she got her unicorn, which is Train of Dreams. Well, that's good. Well, let us know whenever, if need be, put a note on your order, Daylene, because I know occasionally you do order. If you do, bob a note on there about any spare diamonds, because if you're doing a lot of Heaven and Earth Designs, I am happy to just throw your way the spare square diamonds that I have so that you can start collecting for your next one while you struggle with post and things like that. Building up your diamond stash at the same time as getting something else might be a good way to help you, because to be honest, if it's sent by courier, it's got a chance of getting there. If it's sent by the normal postal service, it is extremely hit and miss, because as soon as it gets to the South African side, you just have no idea of what's going to happen. Alaya says, random fact, she says Kazakhstan is the largest landlocked country. There we go. We get some general knowledge in with our random where is Rebecca's washing up to updates. Love it. Lady Dax says she is feeling so much better now. She says she's whispering that so that fate doesn't throw her another lemon. She says, speaking of crayons, she says there was a local crayon factory that a lot of mums would do outdoor work for when she was a kid. And a mum would have us all sitting in the kitchen making up the boxes and putting one of each colour into them. She says there are a lot of reject crayons, either broken or without paper around them, and she got to keep some and give the rest to their school. She says her mum also did, hang on, move my screen to get this one. She said her mum also did outdoor work sewing buttons onto cards, so we had a good supply of odd buttons in their house too. She says on the subject of towns, cities, etc., she says when she places her order, she says on some sites she has to put that she lives in London, because they insist on a city and a county. she says, P. Jelly was so pleased to see that I had chosen to use the pen she made for you today. She said, much love as always. I know, I do love my handmade pens, and I love the Waffles for being able to sort of, you know, highlight each one, I suppose, for a little bit. So yeah, I appreciate every single one of them, which is why I always go through those sorts of pens first before I then just do a random dip as to whether it's one that I've purchased that's handmade or one that we sell in the shop. Right, let me get that one back. I think, I know a lot of places I've noticed when it goes to pudding county, some of them expect it and like you can't go past without putting it, and some of them will just let you leave it blank. But yeah, London's sort of its own little world, isn't it? Whereas everything else is in a county, which our town used to be in Lancashire. It's actually now classed as being in Cheshire, but it used to be in Lancashire. I don't know when they moved all the bits about, but quite often, especially UK wise, even without a county, it'll get where it's going because it just goes off the postcode primarily. Jess, she says she hasn't bought anything since the end of January this year. Hang on, I need to do a switch. I'm actually going to do that single one. She says the trick is to ignore emails and groups. Yes, that would be the trick, but I can't quite ignore the group. Quite often they will tag me in some, which to be fair is okay. I don't mind. There are some that I do end up really liking, and I'm glad that I haven't missed out. And there are some that I am happy to just sort of put on a future potential wish list and leave it at that instead. Okay, that diamond decided it didn't want to stay on my multi-placer long enough. I'll deal with that in a minute. Oh, and that one only picked up one. She says if you don't go to the website, she says she's okay. She says she can't have fear of missing out. Oh, I ended up knocking that one off completely. If you aren't even aware, she says, what you're missing. That's definitely one way to look at it. She says she avoids watching unboxing videos too. She says she's just on avoiding temptation. Hey, if that is what you need to do, that is what you need to do to keep your spending at bay. Share, she says, so for the no buy, she said she decided to limit her stash and she can't buy any more than that. She says so she has to finish 2 before she can add the 2 back into her stash. So for instance, she says her limit is 12. So that's what she set her limit as. Because she doesn't want her family dealing with hundreds after she dies, she says, with a laughy face. She says so she has to get it down to 10 before she can refill. She says she knows that it doesn't really help with this no buy. She says, but maybe they should have a discussion with hubby about it. She says tomorrow she turns 64. She says, and she knows she just can't buy and do everything, so she has to let things pass. Also, she says you could go through your stash and de-stash the ones that you are not in love with anymore. I do like the idea of setting a limit. Whatever that limit will be different for different people. But I do like the idea of having a number limit Maybe I need to set myself one, though it's a bit harder when sometimes I get sent them. But by setting a number limit, you're not saying no, you're saying you can when you work through. But also on the flip side to that, when it does come to you being able to top it up with 2 because you've got down to 10, you potentially are either more fussy about what to, or, you know, you basically hang on until you've got 2 that you're sure about. Because sometimes all we really need to do is make ourselves think more, don't we? Think more before doing, more than anything else. So that is probably a very good way to do it. I know I did really like it when I only tended to have 1 or 2, which were my next ones to do, before I added more. So yeah, maybe I need to set myself a limit on numbers and maybe try and creep that down a little bit as I go along. So maybe complete 2 but only add 1. We shall see. It probably doesn't help that I've got a few unboxings here to do that's going to add to my stash. But anyway, we'll not finish talking about that one today, because that's just the way my stash is at the moment. And as long as it all fits under my desk when it's unboxed, I can cope for now. Anyway, that is today's pretty section done. I've lined this up. We are down here for tomorrow, so a little bit of a longer one for the weekend, but we are getting closer and closer to a finale. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll speak to you all again soon.